welcome back to Red Brick Recap. It is episode number 24, and Ted, we have made it to March. It's the best time of the year. The madness is starting. How are you feeling about it all?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm really excited for it coming up. Obviously, first four comes up in about 12 days. 18th and 19th is when the first four start, and then March Madness starts on an Oxford holiday. So that'll be a great day for the college students of Oxford. And then I'm ready to watch the second part of round one on the plane ride over on spring break.
I did not realize that the tournament starts on that special Thursday.
It does.
That's going to be quite a day in this town.
Yeah, might have to record a day early.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, if Miami makes it to the tournament now, that this town might burn.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be great if they made it to the tournament and then made it on that first day, so everybody's there watching it together. But can't get too far ahead of ourselves, of course.
No, of course, we got a long way to go until then. But let's jump right in and start talking about the week of games we've had in the past week. We'll start with the weekend at Ohio for both the men's and women's teams. For the men's side, we talked about it before the game. Like, this was kind of what I don't want to say what we saw coming, but I mean, you said it best. Like, Ohio's a really good basketball team who knows how to manipulate pace and knows how to manipulate their offense to give Miami trouble. And I think that I wrote it in my notes, AJ Clayton was the difference. I mean, he missed the game at Millette and Miami scraped by 73-69. AJ Clayton played on Saturday and he had 20 points. And it didn't look like Miami had anyone who could really step out and guard him, or if he did go into the post, lock him down in the low block.
Yeah, I didn't. I unfortunately these last two games I haven't had the chance to catch live, but going back and kind of skimming through some possessions and things like that. AJ Clayton. I feel like every time I skimmed through, it was another AJ Clayton bucket. I mean, that's just how dominant he was. And then just watching some of the highlights back, like you said it best. Nobody really had an answer for him, which allowed that offense to kind of flow a little bit more. Definitely more than what we saw in the first matchup. Because the first matchup, I mean, it was Jackson Pavletsky, and that was about it. And he was trying to create everything for his team. And so, I mean, AJ Clayton's a big difference. This is definitely not a team I want to see in March. I mean, we're now in March, and then we saw them in March. But in the MAC tournament, this is they kind of showed that they are a much better team than what they were when we first played them. But it's hard to beat a team twice in a season, and now the season is 1-1. So if we were to meet them, we'd be on pretty even ground.
I would also argue that this was a different Ohio team, like as a whole, that we've seen, and Miami is still a good team. So I honestly kind of would welcome that challenge to kind of, to be the best, you have to beat the best. I want to see this team go take on the Toledos, the Ohio's, the Kent States. And if we win that first round game, we're likely going to have to play one of those, either high seeds or low seeds. So I would like to see a rematch, just because I think that the element that AJ Clayton brought was something that Miami hadn't accounted for, because I'm sure they had, but hadn't experienced on like a firsthand basis, actually playing against him on the court. Now that they have 40 minutes of seeing what he can do, they can go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, here's how we're going to attack him. Here's how we're going to take him away. And then let, I don't know, Sharif Mitchell try and beat you. I mean, Sharif Mitchell and Jackson Pavletsky both played 90% of the game, and they combined for 15 points on some really inefficient shooting stats. I think it was 7 for 22. So, I mean, if you make the guard play beat you, as we saw in the first game, you have a shot. If you take away the low block and you take away the post game, that's something that Miami can do to kind of limit Ohio's offense. And we haven't really talked about him yet, but Antoine Woolfolk had a really efficient game on offense. 7 for 9, 16 points in 24 minutes. Obviously, as we've talked about several times before this season, foul trouble kind of got in the way. Having to guard a guy like AJ Clayton and Vic Searles too. I think he was on Searles in the low block for a while there too. Those guys put you under a ton of pressure, put you into a ton of foul trouble, and honestly kind of just wear you down. So if you can kind of find a way to take that away, whether that's helping Elmer, whether that's helping Byers, or putting Potter or even Suter down there on the low block as a help, and kind of make the guard step out and beat you, I think that gives them a chance. If, again, this is all hypotheticals if we play them in the future, but I think there is a path to victory against Ohio. I don't think that this is just like a foregone conclusion if we have to play them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you bring up Antoine Wolfolk, and he's had a very nice stretch of games as of late. And that's exactly what you want to see out of him. The big players show up in March, and if Miami can have a consistent post presence, they're going to be a much much harder team to beat. You talked about it: 16 points on 9 shots, 7 made shots. I mean, and he hit a three. I mean, you don't see that from Antoine Wolfolk, and if he can add that and be consistent and really help this Miami team have this kind of inside out game when the shots aren't falling, it'd be a huge help in March. In the MAC tournament, the person that the person that I kind of want to bring up is Cam Kraft. Like, he had 12 points on pretty good shooting for what we've kind of been accustomed to. I don't know. I just feel like I'm left wanting a little bit more. And maybe that's just me, knowing the type of player that Kraft can be. But being the third leading scorer on, what we thought coming into it was, his team. I mean, he put up, yeah, since that 40-point game, he went, 0 at Western, 11 at Eastern, 5 versus Kent, 0 versus NIU, 12 at Ohio, and then just put up 6 last night. I just want some consistency. I mean, it's 3 games in 3 days. Like, at the end of the day, we can't really be having like a 0 point, then a 20 point, then a 0 point again. Like, I'd rather him score, 12 across 3 games than have him go for 40 on the first night and 0 on the next.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a blessing and a curse. We've heard Steele talk about how they're one of the deepest teams in the league and they have 8 guys who can beat you. That's all well and good, but if it's a new guy every night, then there's no rhythm being built up. And I don't want to say it's a concern because obviously you have guys like we saw it against Buffalo. We'll talk about that in a second. But like Luke Skaljak had 0 against Ohio and then had 14 against Buffalo. Obviously, like, guys can step up in moments, and that is going to help in this 3-game stretch in Cleveland. But if you're taking the ball out of Kraft's hands, who we know if you give him consistent opportunities and consistent looks, he can go and give you 25. He can go and give you 40 as he did at Millette. So while I agree that depth is always a good thing, depth is, an asset that teams need going into March, I would like to see them find a way to get Kraft. I mean, he had 11 shots against Ohio. He had 7 shots against to Buffalo. I'd like to see him get 15 to 18 shots a game, even if he makes 3 of them, 4 of them, just to see that they're giving him shots and giving him a chance to go get those buckets and build up a rhythm going into Cleveland or in that first round game in Cleveland to kind of build up that rhythm and that confidence in him. I think that's going to be crucial because if you go to a team, hypothetically, if you get into a tight game against one of these MAC opponents in Cleveland, you're going to need your big guy, your top scorer, to go get you buckets. And right now, I don't know if that's Cam Kraft right now. Right now, I think I'd rather have the ball in Peter Suter's hands just because over the last 2 games, he has that rhythm built up. And we've seen him been able to go and get tough buckets when they need him to. That's not to say Cam Kraft is incapable of that. We know he is. But as of right now, he just hasn't had the rhythm and hasn't had the consistent looks that you'd like to see out of a guy can be a 30-plus point weapon.
It seems, again, I'm not a sport psychology consultant. I'm not any of that, but it does seem a little bit mental at points. One of the things, just kind of the blessing of being on, the baseline for ESPN Plus is like, I get to kind of see his mechanics up close. And there are times when his shot is the smoothest. It's smooth as butter, right? And when it's smooth as butter, it is cash 100% of the time. I'm not hyperbolizing here, but there are times where he has this like hitch when he gets to the top of his jump shot, and it's almost like he doesn't release when he's supposed to, and then he kind of starts. It's like a millisecond on when he's coming down, he releases it instead of going up and shooting with it. And again, I'm not a sports psychologist. I don't claim to be this great basketball analyst because again, I'm just a college student. But the fact that like I'm able to see that hitch, it's like it's just like what I don't know. I'm like, trying to figure out how to describe it. It's just like why can't he just be the smooth all the time? But then again, like you can't ask that of a person. You can't ask him to be 100% every single time. But I think what he did in the Ohio game, even though he only put up 12 points, is like he didn't take a lot of threes. He only took three threes, and he made one of them. And then he was 50% from the floor, which is what I would rather see than 3 of 15, and all 15 shots were 3-point shots. I think he needs to get into a little bit of a rhythm where he can get like he can get an open jumper, right, little mid range shot, and then it's like okay, once he sees a couple go through, then you take that step outside, or maybe it's even like I mean what they love doing is like first possession, have him come on a curl, have him come on a curl over a screen and have him pop a three, and just stuff like that. I think just to get him going would be beneficial. And you're absolutely right. Like, is this the guy that I'm trusting to get a big bucket down the stretch? At this point, no. But I also think that he's not going to be in. He's not going to be in down the stretch. We've seen it. He's not going to be in down the stretch. He is not the best defender in the world, and we've seen that closeout lineup of Cooper, Ipsaro, Elmer, Suter, and Woolfolk. And I think we see more of that, come March, because I just think that's a better defensive lineup come the stretch when you really need stops.
Yeah, I'm more referring to like, let's say like 4 seconds on the clock, you need a bucket. I want Kraft in the game just because like at any given moment he has the capability to pull up and pop one. We've talked to him in post-game press conferences. He says he's a shooter. He's not going to stop shooting just because he's missed a couple. That's the confidence I like in a guy. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like I think they need to find a way. You mentioned that they run plays for him coming out of timeouts and coming out of inbounds. I'd like to see more of that. Whether that's set plays, which I know they don't run very often, but run some set plays to get him open looks, whether that's a ball screen or an off ball screen to get him open on the wing, like maybe even a driving look. We know he can score at all 3 levels. Find a way to get him involved at all 3 levels, get him going early. And that's something we really haven't seen from them this season. They've kind of relied on just their free flowing offense to get easy looks at the rim to get to get started, which worked against Buffalo and it helped out. But I think in a tournament game where you need your big performers to be hot early and perform early, the emphasis has to be put on getting guys like Kraft a rhythm within the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, you mentioned you'd like to see them run more set plays. I mean, you're exactly right. I feel like there are times when this offense can be really stagnant, which come MAC play, you can't have some of these dry spells that they've had where it's been, gosh, I don't know, 6-7 minutes without a bucket or without a made field goal. Like you just can't have that. And I think running more set plays would be beneficial to them because that's how they get their offense going. I mean, even if it's just putting like Woolfolk or Potter at the elbow and doing the little backdoor screens that we love seeing, the backdoor cuts, right? I mean, that is some of their best offense when that offense is moving and flowing and just the ability to get open looks even if they're not falling and just stuff like that. I think I wish to see more of in the tournament because I mean you and I both know like we've said this on the podcast, we've said this behind closed doors. We really want to see Miami in March Madness, man. Like, I mean, both teams, but we really want to see, this has just been such a special season for the men, and it would be a shame if we couldn't get there.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think the recipe to do that is what we saw against Buffalo. Against Ohio, the bench did not really have, I think it was 8 total points from the bench. Against Buffalo, 36 from 14 from Skowronek, 12 from Potter, 10 from Byers. You got 15 points and 9 assists out of Peter Suter. Woolfolk went 4 for 4 with 4 steals. Even Makai Cooper got on the score sheet with 8 points and 5 assists. We haven't seen that very often. Obviously, Makai Cooper is more of a defensive passing guard, which is great. If you can get 8 points a game in Cleveland, that's another weapon that teams have to worry about. Again, it wasn't Kraft's best game, but the team picked him up. This is the recipe that I want to see against Ball State tomorrow and down the stretch in Cleveland. I want to see them not get worried when teams get close. Buffalo cut it to 2 with 4 minutes to go in the first half. 2. And in the last 4 minutes, Miami went up by 12. That's the kind of resilience. That's the kind of pressure I want to see Miami put on teams. And we've seen them do it all season. We've seen teams get close and Miami find a way to rattle off a run, get a couple tough buckets, and keep momentum in their favor. But we've also seen games like the Ohio game where if they go down 7 points, then they can't find a way back into the game. So if we get the Buffalo version of Miami against Ball State and going into Cleveland, my confidence level increases tenfold. If we get the Ohio version tomorrow night, I would be very nervous depending on who we play in the first round, especially because I think right now it's one of the 2 Michigans, which we've struggled against at times this season. So we need a win tomorrow against Ball State to kind of go in with this momentum and with this kind of level of play that we've seen in the past this season, but fell short against Ohio. If that Ohio game was the last game of the season going into the MAC tournament, I would be very, very nervous. So the Buffalo game is a huge confidence booster. Tomorrow's game has to be a confidence booster. You have your home crowd behind you. It's senior night. You have this is your barometer to see where you're at going into Cleveland. And I will feel a lot more confident with a comfortable win than I would with a performance like we saw against Ohio.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And one of the things to keep an eye on is Ball State. They're in a 3-game losing streak, but they still have a chance to get into the MAC tournament and backdoor that MAC tournament. They're only a game out right now, and I don't know what the tiebreakers are with Bowling Green and Western Michigan, but both Ball State and Central Michigan could easily, kind of force or backdoor their way into the tournament. But also, I mean, just an interesting story. Eastern Michigan is all the way up to the 5 seed.
Oh, wow.
And Toledo is the 6 seed right now. So it'd be as of right now, it'd be a Toledo-Kent State matchup in that first round. But yeah, I mean, Eastern Michigan is a team that's very hot right now. But yeah, I mean, Miami could be playing either Bowling Green, Western Michigan, Ball State, or Central Michigan. That's kind of how it's going to shake out. So Ball State's got something to play for. It's not like, no offense to Northern Illinois, it's just not like, they're even Buffalo, they're out of it. They don't have all their players. Ball State's coming in with something to prove. They're coming to play spoilers for senior night. So this is a game that it doesn't have any implications in terms of like our standings, but it has a ton of implications in just terms of momentum. Like if you lose against a team that has a below 500 record, not only overall, but also in conference play, and now you got to go play either Bowling Green, Western Michigan. Hell, you could even play Ball State again. I mean, that's not a good thing going into that tournament. But I mean, like you said, Miami should come into this with a lot of firepower. They should come into this with with a little fire lit under them, saying, if we can win this game, we'll have a lot of good momentum going into the tournament, which comes up in a week. You'll be there in about a week, or a little less than a week. And I mean, if you just want to talk positives for a second, this is the first time since 1998, 1999 that Miami has had single-digit losses. So, again, just an incredibly historic season, and they got one more game tomorrow, and then it's all about the MAC, baby.
Yeah, I personally can't wait to be in Cleveland for that. I'm really excited that I get the chance to go. We'll have live coverage for you from Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland throughout the arena. It's
just called Rocket Arena now. They dropped the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse.
I could have sworn it was 2 days ago.
No, they just renamed it to Rocket Arena.
Well, shows what I know. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited to be there. For some reason, the hotel wouldn't let me book the insurance on my room. So if for whatever reason Miami loses in the first round, I'm going to be real upset that I don't get my full weekend worth of hotel rooms. But yeah, well, I will be getting there Thursday. I have an exam and a meeting on Wednesday, so I can't get there for the first round of the women's tournament. But I'll be there for first round of the men's tournament, and then I'll be there throughout the weekend as long as the Miami has a team in play. But yeah, I mean, I'm fired up. This is the best time of the year, not just in the MAC, but in college basketball in general. I mean, we could sit here for 4 hours and talk hoops and, give our predictions and all that stuff, but we'll save that for a coming episode. But speaking of the women, let's talk about the women. They had a tough game last night. We'll start with that, and then we'll go back to the Ohio game. But while it's fresh in my mind, I want to talk about the Central Michigan game last night. We've seen it. It was eerily reminiscent of the Buffalo game from a couple of months ago, where they had a big lead halfway through the fourth quarter. And then I don't know if it was Central Michigan made an adjustment or Miami just couldn't get a rhythm going, but they could not buy a bucket for the last 6 minutes of play. I think they were up 54-45 with like 6 minutes to play. And then 7 minutes later, it was 57-54 Central Michigan. That just can't happen again. Like, it was excusable mid-season when like you're still kind of understanding what your team's looking like. You're still kind of getting your feet wet and understanding like how your offense runs. You're a game away from the MAC tournament now. And we're having the same issues we saw in January, where you're not getting offense rolling when a defense makes an adjustment. That is very damning to me, because now I think that teams, whoever Miami's playing, I got to look at the bracket again. I'm blanking on who it is. Whoever Miami plays in that first round sees that. They see that scoreless streak and goes, okay, here's what they did to stop it. We can do that throughout the game. And I guess that's what worries me, is like, when they're on, they can be so good. They're very good. They're a very good offensive team. They have a lot of weapons that can hurt you, and they're very good defensively. But we've also seen games like this where, for some reason, a switch flips and the momentum just completely shifts the other way, and there's nothing Miami can do about it.
Yeah, to answer your question, Miami is currently sitting at the 5 seed. They would play Kent State if things remain the same. However, if they lose on Saturday and Bowling Green were to win, Miami would drop to the 6th seed and play Buffalo, which is not their favorite matchup.
No, it is
so not. They got to come out and win on Saturday. But yeah, like you said, I mean, it is a little frustrating that at this point in the season, we're 1 game out from the MAC tournament, that we're having the same why isn't this offense scoring conversation. And I mean, if you look at some of the numbers, Tretter fouled out again, and to me, I'm pretty sure that was late in the game, right? If I remember correctly, like it was like with 3 minutes.
There's about 3 minutes left in the game.
That's a lot of time. 3 minutes is a lot of time. And I mean, Amber Tretter, she had another great night, another double-double. But that can't happen, man. Like, with 3 minutes left to go, that can't happen, because now it's like, okay, now Katie Richardson is in, or maybe it's Ilse DeVries playing, but like that, I mean, that just can't happen. Because not only do they run a ton of offense through her, she's an incredible defender, and obviously an incredible rebounder. So, I mean, I think in those last 3 minutes, and then in overtime, right, that was another 5 minutes. So that's about 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes where she's not on the floor, which I think just kills the offense. And so I think the key is going to be figuring out a way to keep Tretter on the floor.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, she's been dominant in the last 2 weeks. I think it's her 4th double-double in her last 5 games, and she was excellent last night. But I think what got Miami into trouble is just the physicality and the size that Central Michigan brought. Ayanna Sarai-Darrington was a menace in the low post. Demetria Pruitt was getting baskets at will at times. Maddie Morrison was not super efficient, but 16 points speaks for itself. Excuse me. Yeah, like, the interior presence that Central Michigan had gave Miami a lot of trouble and kind of forced Tretter into some of those fouls to kind of stop them from just kind of having their way in the paint for a while. And it's hard to understate just how dominant Central Michigan was rebounding the basketball. I think they had 53 rebounds. I think 22 of those were on the offensive glass. That like killed Miami. That wore them down so much. I mean, when you have to guard 3 or 4 possessions at a time, your legs feel like jelly by the time you get a chance to run your offense. So I think a lot of it just came down to, like, I think they just ran out of gas. in that last stretch, because I mean, especially in that third and fourth quarter, it felt like they were getting 2 to 3 possessions per time down the floor because Miami just couldn't get a rebound. So there was a lot of things that need to be adjusted in this game. There were some positives. Obviously, Treader Chandler came up big with a couple of big shots. It's good to see her kind of becoming that clutch shooter again, like we've seen in a couple of games so far this season. Katie Richardson played pretty well in that physical low post game. She had a couple of big buckets. I think she had the game tying bucket to send the game to overtime, if I'm not mistaken. And Angelina Gonzalez, another 11 points. Again, 33% shooting. You'd like to see that more in the 40s and the 50s, but not the end of the world. And for the most part, especially in that second and third quarter, Miami was really efficient. 50% field goals in both of those quarters, 35% in the first, but I still had the lead after it. They were really efficient in that second and third quarter. And then for whatever reason, I think it was because of the Treader foul out, they could not buy a bucket. I think that was 23%, 33% in overtime. That completely, if it's not obvious already, that completely changes the game. They get if they get to like even 40%, they can probably sneak away with a tight fourth quarter victory. So a lot of stuff here that, again, it's not like a 5-alarm fire yet. Like, I'm not saying like, okay, this is like a problem they need to like really address this going into the MAC tournament. But if there's not significant improvements on Saturday, again, I said it about the men's team. I'll say it about the women's team too. Like, Saturdays needs to be a win for them to go into the MAC tournament confident. For me to go into the MAC tournament confident. If they don't win that, I am very nervous about whoever their matchup's going to be in the MAC tournament, especially because you mentioned, like, if it's Buffalo, we're 0-2 against Buffalo. Buffalo's had our number both times. Kent State, we won by 1 point or 2 points and got beat by 14 the first time. Those are not good matchups for us. So if you can kind of pick up a win here to build some momentum, then I'm a little more confident. But we did not – the bracket gods were not nice to Miami, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be fixed. So I've got some question marks going into the next week.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite phrase is it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. So if they do end up having to play Buffalo, maybe that bodes well for us. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. There are a lot of question marks going into, I mean, not only the tournament, but also just Saturday. Like, what type of team are we going to see against Northern Illinois? Like, the last time I think they played, I think they beat them by 20. And I think we had talked about just kind of like the run they went on where, they weren't allowing a score. I think that was, I mean, they do it so many times, like you can't remember when they do it and when they don't do it. You just kind of expect them to do it every game. But yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of unknowns going into this game, and you just want to see the offense that we know and love, really. Like, I mean, you just want to see we know they're going to be good on the defensive side of the ball. It's just the offense. I do want to give a quick shout out, to Katie Richardson. I'm pretty sure she's on scholarship. I'm not 100% sure if she was a walk-on or something, but she's from that first regime, and she's the only one still from that first recruiting class. And this was somebody who I didn't think was going to get a ton of playing time under Coach Box, but he has played her more than he plays his starter, Ilsa DeVries, and she's just, I mean, she doesn't always show up in the box score, but she has just been a really good veteran presence for this team.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think she showed it against Central Michigan. Obviously didn't get the win, but going against, oh my God, I'm blanking on her name again. Excuse me for 2 seconds. Darrington, like, she was the Darrington matchup after Richardson fouled out. It gave her a good fight, like put up a physical effort down the stretch. So really good effort from her. I mean, she's going to be huge in this MAC tournament when we go, whoever we play. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, kudos to her for sticking around throughout the regime change, and kudos for Coach Box for rewarding her for her commitment.
Exactly. I mean, we saw it with the men's team. It's really hard to go through a regime change and kind of stick around. Like, I think the names that come to mind, Ryan Mabry and Jacquel Morris, these are 2 guys that made it through that first year with Steele, and then we're kind of like, do I stick around again? And they kind of hop ship. But this is now the second year of Box, and Coach Richardson, or Coach Richardson, Katie Richardson is still here. So it's just kind of a testament to how she plays, the fact that like he finds a way to fit her into his system.
Yeah, I also think it's a testament to both coaches. Like, we've seen regime changes go bad. I mean, I don't have any off the top of my head, but like it's kind of a hit or miss thing when you hire a new coach. And both coaching hires in the last 3 years now for Miami have been massive hits. Coach Steele has a 22-8 program. Coach Box has taken his team to the MAC tournament in his second year. Those are both really, really successful track records to have, especially so early on in their careers. Obviously, we've seen Steele get rewarded. I expect Coach Box to get rewarded here in the next couple of years with an extension of his own. And now the basketball program has a new arena in the works. The momentum that Miami basketball has right now is at a level that we definitely have not seen since we've been here, and probably hasn't been seen since at least 2006. Or probably I'd even say in the turn of the century, for the actual like prolonged success that we might see in Oxford, especially now with this new arena down the works, the amount of support that the athletic department's giving them. It's been really cool to see. And first of all, caveat, disclaimer, very glad that I'm graduating. Very glad to leave Oxford. I've been here long enough. I need to get out of this town. But I'm also kind of sad that I'm not going to be here to see the growth of these programs continue to grow, and I'm going to have to do it from like the outside. But again, I am very glad I'm out of here. I mean, I need to get out of this town. I've been here too long.
It just gives you a reason to come back.
No, I'm never coming back. I'm done.
No, I hear that. I got the same sentiment. I mean, I'm going on year 4 here, senior year / grad school stuff. And, I talked to my advisor and they're like, look, you still got 2 more classes. You want to come back? I'm like, can I take them online, please? Yeah, I mean, that's just a little side tangent of, look, Oxford has given us some great memories and they are a wonderful town. But when you spend 4 to 5 years here, you kind of are itching to get out. But yeah, I mean, it is going to be sad not to see the growth of these programs. I mean, I think it was this is the first time since 2017 that the women made the MAC tournament. 2019. Okay, I was debating between those 2 numbers. But anyways, yeah, first time, in a while. And then yeah, like we said, this is Coach Steele's 3rd year making the MAC tournament. But the difference between the last 2 years is that they need a little bit of help. They need a little bit of backdooring and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And now Steele took it into his own hands and his team controlled his own destiny. And the same thing with Coach Box, right? I mean, they were bad last year, frankly, and this is a complete 180. And I'm just so excited for the future of both these programs. I mean, both programs have a winning record. I can't remember the last time they both had a winning record.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I don't think I can think of one either. Maybe I know we didn't have one my freshman year, and that's as far back as my memory goes for those programs. So it's been really cool to watch the growth. Obviously, the only way is up. And I mean, that can be said about pretty much every program at Miami. I remember I was in a class for my grad program, I think it was this week, and someone said, like, Miami's not an athletic school. Like, we shouldn't try to pretend like we're an athletic school. We have the opportunity to be. We have the bones to be an athletic mid-major powerhouse. We do. You look at me like that, but we do. We have a
no. I'm not looking at you like that. I'm looking at you for the person who said we're not a sports school.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're not like a national mid-major powerhouse, but our women's field hockey has been, excuse my language, but they've been fucking incredible ever since we got here.
Mm-hmm.
Our men's team, they just won their fourth straight conference championship. And it was the first one in a new conference. Our women's swimming team, they came in 3rd this year and I think 2nd last year, but they've always been really, really good. I mean, I can keep going. Our Miami softball, they've been incredible, and now baseball's on the up and up, and both our basketball teams are on the up and up. Miami won a MAC championship last year, and they won one 2 years ago for football. Like to say that we're, I mean, to say that we're not a sports school, I personally, I think that's BS. It's just that the culture around the sports hasn't shifted yet. And I think that's a better way to describe it because we're still begging people to come to games, whereas like now we actually have a reason to come to games except for hockey.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like the culture isn't there, but the success has been, and I think we're starting to see. And again, like, this is one of the reasons I'm sad that I'm leaving, but also not, is that the culture is starting to build. I went to the baseball home opener, and I'm not going to say it was sold out, but it was full. There was a good crowd there. It's probably 100, 150 people, which is pretty good for a Wednesday afternoon in February. So like the growth that all of our programs have given us and have seen, from football down to even at the club level, like club hockey's like going to their national championships again.
Yeah,
so
the women's club team, they're going back to playoffs.
Yeah, like at every level, Miami sports have always been competitive, but I think now we're kind of seeing it get national recognition for the first time in a long time, especially after the Snoop Dogg Bowl for football. A lot of exposure for that. Miami's on national television for basketball twice this year. A lot of exposure through that. Miami hockey, even though they're not very good, they just played on
CBS Sports Network.
Thank you. CBS Sports Network in front of a national audience. Like, you always hear it from outsiders. Nobody like, oh, where's Miami? Like, or what's Miami, Ohio? I've never heard of it. They're hearing about it now because of the success of the sports program. Obviously, like, long way to go. We haven't really won anything yet, but the baby steps are there. The foundation is there to build on, and I think it's really exciting.
Hey, all we need is just a great MAC run to get to the NCAA tournament, or I know it's not as prestigious anymore, but a little back door into the NIT, not bad. Hey, we're top 42 in terms of record. Just saying,
it can happen. Who knows?
We have the same record as Michigan. Just saying.
I'd rather see Miami in the tournament than Michigan, but that might be my Ohio State bias talking. But before we run out of time here, I know we only have about 20 minutes left, but we want to talk about baseball. First home series last weekend, took the series win against Northern Kentucky, excuse me. Thank God. Thank you, Fangraphs. You listened to my prayers. I've been asking for this for years. They've put college stats on their website with advanced stats. Hallelujah. This was my Super Bowl yesterday when I saw them announce this. I sat on Fangraphs for like 3 hours scrolling through college data. But yeah, I mean, going back to the baseball team, like, NKU's always been a pretty good baseball program. At least they've put some money into it. I can't speak for their records, but they've got a really nice facility. They've always put together some pretty good teams as far as I can remember. And Miami came to play. I mean, I'm pulling up the records now, but 7-1 win on day one. Obviously, heartbreaking loss in the second game. That game went on for what seemed like forever. And I think that was 19-18 was the final score.
19-18 final score, and it was like literally down to like the last out. Like Dylan Baker had like a 2-run, 2-out homer, and you were like, "Oh my gosh! Like they're gonna do it! They're gonna do it!" And then they didn't.
Yeah, they went down 8-0 in the second inning and crawled all the way back to get back to 19-18 in the ninth inning. This game took 4.5 hours. That might be the longest baseball game I've ever seen.
Jeez.
Oh my gosh, that's I mean, literally, like, looking through this, it's just a game that would never end. But yeah, obviously in 19-18 losses, that's tough. But like, you score 18 runs, 9 out of 10 times you're going to win that ball game.
And also, because of the inclement conditions, it was a double header.
Oh yeah.
So these guys played at noon, and then they played at 4:15 and didn't get off the field until 8, like almost 9 o'clock.
Oh, no. And if you think that was bad, the first game, which was a 7-1 win, also took 3.5 hours. That is 8 hours of just baseball in one day. I would throw up.
I know they were feeling it coming off the field. And
I don't know how they took the field on Sunday. At least they had the day off on Saturday. But my goodness, that is a lot of baseball. That's 8 hours. Like I played baseball my entire life, 8 hours of baseball right now, and I think I might actually like die.
It sounds like a hell because I mean, and especially like when you're in the outfield and you're just standing out there for inning after inning after inning after inning, and like, I mean, heck, probably not much is going on, and you're like, that's almost 8 hours of just pure standing.
In that 19 to 18 game, there was plenty going on. Don't you worry. And well, I'm looking at it too, like especially that 19 to 18 game. It started at 4:15 and went for 4 hours. It says that the temperature was 58 degrees. By 7 o'clock, it was not 58 degrees at Oxford. That is brutally cold to be playing baseball in this weather.
And
But
like the next day, it snowed,
it did. Yes, it did.
so like it was getting cold, and it was getting cold fast.
Yeah, but always it was good to see them rebound against like a tough opponent and gave them a heartbreaking loss on the night to come back on Sunday and win that ball game in a really, really strong pitching outing from Benko and Byers, which I'll talk about in a second. Obviously, an incredible win. Came back on Tuesday at home or on the road, lost to guess who?
Wright State.
Without fail. They just have our number this year. We can't find a way to beat Wright State. But yeah, I mean, obviously, any weekend you go 2-2 with this program, especially before MAC play, I think you're pretty happy with it. MAC play starts next week against Toledo. We'll get into some of the players I want to watch in the MAC in a second. But first, I want to talk about is the Fangraph stats. Yes, I've been waiting for this for weeks. You look at Miami's advanced stats. I'm looking at a stat called WRC plus, which is weighted runs created plus, which is basically like how many runs you create versus the average player. Every single Miami player is better than the average player in the MAC per weighted runs created. Ty Bodicic is twice as valuable as the average player in terms of WRC plus. He has a 201 WRC plus. That is ludicrous. That is insane.
Sorry.
You're good. That puts him within, I'm pretty sure, like the top 25 in all of college baseball. It puts him in the top 50, excuse me, or top 60. Wow. That is
still great for a Miami player.
I mean, yeah, that is really impressive for him. I mean, he's walking 18% of the time and striking out 5% of the time. He's slugging 1.131, or that's his OPS, excuse me. That is ludicrous numbers. Those are insane. Again, you can do it again if you want.
No, no thanks.
And it's like that up and down the lineups. Zarlingo's is 186, Baker's is 159, Applewick's is 147, and he's leading the team in home runs. And I mean, Novak's got a 138. Ryan Novak has a 138. Krupinski's a 141. All of those are ridiculously good numbers for the MAC. All of those, as we said last week, the offense is going to be what wins them ball games. It's going to come down to the pitching. And the pitching has been better than I thought it was going to be. When I look at, Landon Folk has 6 innings. He hasn't given up a run. Hayden Cuthbertson has 7 innings. He hasn't given up a run. Cooper Katsky has 10 innings. He's yet to give up a run. Carson Byers has a 1.88 ERA. We've talked about how important he's going to be in 14. He's got 14 innings under his belt already with a 1.88 ERA out of the bullpen. Troy Benko, I'm putting all of my stock into Troy Benko. This guy is going to be an all-MAC player if he keeps pitching like this. In 14 innings and 3 starts now, 3.86 ERA, 1.29 walks per 9. That's really darn good. That's really darn good. Whip of 1.07. That's the lowest I remember seeing from a qualified MAC pitcher or from a Miami pitcher. So the pieces are there for this team to be really good. They need to kind of figure out a couple more pieces in that bullpen, in that pitching staff. But if they can do that, this team looks really, really good on the offensive and at the starting pitching side.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's looking up for Miami baseball. And I'm actually just checking out Fangraphs right now. The 100th, best hitter by batting average right now is our old friend Ryan Zaborowski, hitting nukes down at Georgia right now. He's already got 5. But anyways, back to Miami baseball. Like you said, Troy Benko, I can't remember if we talked about him too much in our season preview, but he has been way better than I think either of us have kind of anticipated. And I mean, I think the Miami baseball account, they posted the other day, like when he was like it was his start or whatever, and they just posted a Snapchat picture of him. It says "Get your milk and cookies ready" or something like that. It's like that I like seeing because it shows like person. It shows a little bit of the personality of the team. And it's just funny because now it's like now I remember Troy Banko as milk, Mr. Milk and Cookies, and then when they tweet something out about milk and cookies, I know it's referring to Troy Banko.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's huge. So
yeah, I thought it was hilarious. I mean, the social media presence for baseball hasn't been stellar the last couple of years. I feel like we've kind of gone by the wayside. To kind of build up that engagement and that excitement I think is going to be huge for this team. But as always, the MAC is still really good. There are still a lot of really good players in the MAC. No hitter has stood out, as far as I can tell, like super amazingly, as far as I remember. It's a lot of like, okay, these guys are going to be pretty good, but nothing insane. But the pitching looks really, really solid. I mean, I wrote a couple guys down here, Jacob Hartlaub and Keegan Johnson for Ball State. Ball State's always got a really good baseball program. They sent Ty Johnson to the minors a couple years ago. Those two guys are going to be a great 1-2 punch. They're going to be the Friday, Saturday guys for Ball State all season. And they might be the best pitchers that we face in the MAC this year if we get to face them. Yeah, they scare me. Adam Brower looks really good. He's got no runs allowed in 3 starts. These guys are scary. Like Ball State has, in my opinion, the best. All right, Adam Brower's not on Ball State. Why did I not write down his team? But I'm looking at Hartlaub and Keegan Johnson. Those two guys are going to lead Ball State all season. I believe they were the number 1 team in the coaches poll. I don't expect anyone to compete with Ball State again this year. I think they're far and away the best team in this conference. I think Miami can put up a fight and then maybe go sneak in, maybe go win the MAC tournament. But I think regular season, it's Ball State all the way, at least on paper.
Ball State's always like really, really good. I remember last year watching Merritt Beaker pitch. He was, one of the better arms on that staff. I didn't realize he got drafted. He's with the Nationals organization. So good on him. But yeah, I mean, Ball State's always going to have, I feel like they're just like a pitching factory and even just a baseball factory in general. Like they are the cream of the crop. Like everybody wants to be like Ball State, which is such a weird thing that is coming out of my mouth currently. But yeah, I mean, Ball State is going to be the team to beat for sure, and I think Miami can take a lot of things from Ball State. I think one of their coaches is from Ball State. I think Larry Scully, maybe, if I remember correctly. I think he was like their pitching coach for a while. Larry Scully, pitching coach. Yeah, he was the pitching coach at Ball State. He produced 2nd-round pick, pair of 4th-round picks. Produced best pitchers in the MAC. So hopefully he can take what he's learned in some of the recruiting and bring it to our guys. I mean, we've seen it a little bit so far. We've seen the flashes. We've seen the potential. It's just putting it together and making sure that it it stays kind of where it needs to be.
Yeah, 100% agree. Quick guy I want to shout out real quick. I just mentioned him a second ago. Ty Johnson, former Ball State pitcher, got drafted by my team. He got drafted by the Cubbies in the 15th round in 2023. He got traded to the Rays last year, and after that trade, he pitched in 6 games, had a .78 ERA in high A. So if you're a fantasy baseball player out there in a deep dynasty league and you need a 6'6" righty who throws 96, go take a look at Ty Johnson. He might be a league winner one day because he looks really, really good right now. I know with my work with Pitcher List, a couple of guys were talking about him in the Discord the other day, but he could be a stud. So keep an eye out for Mac Bandit, Ty Johnson. Let's close out here. We'll talk a little bit about Miami softball. They open up their season this weekend with the Red Hawk Classic, or I think that's what they call it, the tournament. If I'm not,
it's just called it looks like it's just called the Miami Tournament per their website.
All right, well, Red Hawk Classic I think is a little cooler. So if anyone's listening out there, take that into account. But they open up tomorrow. They open up tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. against Michigan State at home. Again, we've talked about it. Michigan State, Big Ten opponent, Power 5 conference. But coming to Oxford, so who knows? Who knows? Maybe there's some home field magic here in Oxford. I don't know what my schedule is going to look like this weekend just because we have so much going on sports wise between basketball. I think hockey's in town this weekend too.
Yep.
So like I think every sport is at home this weekend. So we're going to try and get to as many games as we can and not, also, make sure we graduate on time. So we'll see what we can do. We'll have as much coverage as we can give you. But yeah, I mean, softball is always one of Miami's best programs. So to have them in town for a home series against Michigan State and Northern Kentucky, get out there and support if you can. They deserve it. They're one of the best programs that Miami has here. Definitely one of our most successful over the last couple of years. So if you're in Oxford or in the Oxford area and want to come watch some good softball, come out to Miami Field on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about like don't worry about the record yet because again it's all out of conference. We've played a bunch of really good teams. Like there's not there's not much we can do or they can do against some of the top ranked teams in the nation. I think the Northern Kentucky games should be a bit of a better test for them in terms of just strength wise, and then they play Stonehill College, and then they get into the MAC play, which I'm really excited about because they were, they kind of have a chip on their shoulder this year. They were predicted to finish second in the MAC, so they want to prove why they're still the best team in the MAC. And I mean, overall, they have been they've been pretty solid.
The last weekend series, the Gopher Classic wasn't great. Obviously the two lost to St. Thomas hurt, but St. Thomas went 5-0 that weekend. So like, I think they were just caught a hot streak and unfortunately Miami was on the wrong end of it. Good win against North Dakota State in 6 innings and then, Power 5 opponent in Minnesota. So I don't put a ton of stock into it. Again, like we talked about non-conference. I'm waiting to see what they look like in conference play. The stats still look pretty good. Kalios, he still has an OPS over 1,000. Shelby Kunkel is an OPS over 1,000 with 5 homers. Jonah Gombuski's OPS is now well over 1,000 with 6 homers. Again, the pieces are still here for this team to be really good. I'm not super worried about it yet. My main concern remains with the pitching. Both pitchers have an ERA above 4.5. Both whips are closer to 2 than they are to 1. So that's the area I think Miami gets burned if they get burned at all. But again, the offense looks good. The numbers look good. I'm waiting to see what it looks like when we get into MAC play.
Yeah, I think the pitching is it's interesting to say the least. There's nobody really there's nobody that like really jumps off the page like in years past. Courtney Viestra was somebody who, if I'm remembering correctly, or Brianna Pratt from just a couple years back. But these are all these were all people that this is your this is your go-to pitcher right here. So it's a little weird not having that not having that ace, I guess, or that go-to. I think they were expecting Madeline Reeves to take that step up after a really, really good freshman year. But right now she is struggling a little bit. But again, it's like we said with the baseball team, and we're just waiting for the MAC play. We're just waiting for them to get in the MAC play when they are playing against opponents that are more their level.
It's also March 6th. We got a long way to go for both of these programs before we hit crunch time. So yeah. Take what we say with a grain of salt. These teams are the talent level is there, even if the record doesn't necessarily indicate it at times. I have no worries that both of these teams are going to be competitive in their conferences at some point this season. It's March 6th. The pros haven't even started playing yet. And we're still playing non-conferences. So yes, there's positives to look at, but the negatives you kind of have to take with okay, it is non-conference play. And again, you kind of have to do that with the positives too. Yes, some things look really good. We have a really good offense, but how good is the pitching we faced? And you kind of have to do that kind of mental gymnastics. So take everything we say with a grain of salt. We are not, the final voice and the final opinion on all of this. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Let's see what happens in MAC play, which I think starts up in the next week or so. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for this week. Ted, anything else?
We kind of promised our viewers not to talk about hockey. But given that their season is coming to an end, I do just want to briefly mention them because they did come away with multiple points um, against who was it against? I think it was last weekend against Minnesota Duluth, which one of the games was on CBS Sport Network. So that's some good exposure for our boys. But they came away with multiple points. It They lost the first game in overtime, which is a point, and then they tied and they lost in an overtime shootout, which again is another point. So that's 2 points.
2 points. Hey, you know what? We'll take it. The only way is up, and multiple points at the end of the season is a W in my eyes. Finish the season this weekend at home against Western Michigan. Western Michigan's had our number this year. Are they still one of the top 5 teams in the country?
So I was just looking at that. It doesn't say that they're ranked right now. But as of January, like when we played them in January, they were the third and fourth ranked teams. Which again, I don't really know how hockey like rankings work, but it's really weird. But just for fun, these are how many ranked teams we've played this season. We played St. Cloud State when they were ranked 12 and 14. We played North Dakota when they were ranked 16 and 17. Denver when they were 6. Western Michigan when they were 3 and 4, Arizona State when they were 12 and 13, which we thought that was games they should win. But that's already 5. Then Colorado College when they were 19/RV, which I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
Denver when they were 6 and 7. So that is 8 teams that we've played that have been ranked.
And then you double that because they play multiple times.
Yep.
And that's, what is that, 16? Let's call it 18 ranked games.
Yep.
That is most of their season.
Yep.
That is like pretty much, I think that's over 50% of their season has been ranked games.
Yeah.
So again, we saw it before the season started with Joe. Like, this season was always going to be a gauntlet. It was always going to be kind of a development year for this program. Noreen, from all accounts I've heard, has done an excellent job of recruiting and building this program on the outside and kind of like getting guys into the program in the coming years. So who knows what this team looks like next year? Who knows what this team looks like in 2 years? Again, Coach Steele said it in the post game that we were at, or that I was at, that like Noreen's building a culture here. Noreen's doing a great job of like building this team back up to where it was. I think the question was about like building team culture, and Steele emphasized like every Miami team has done an excellent job of this. Like from Chuck Martin, we talked about his culture all fall. We talked about Steele's pretty much all spring, Coach Box's all spring, and now we're talking about Coach Noreen's again. Again, we'll probably talk about it more in the future, just because like the excitement around his recruiting is probably outweighing the excitement around of the on-field or on-ice product right now. But again, like the only way is up, and it seems like even if the record doesn't necessarily show it, the progress has been there.
Yeah, and you said it best with the culture. It feels like every Miami team just has what Chuck Martin has described as the Miami culture, right? Like, you're coming here to play and to work hard. Like, you're not coming here necessarily to look for other, opportunities or other options. Like, you're coming here to win MAC championships. And you see that at every level with every team. Like, every team has this distinct Miami culture. I mean, you name the football team, the basketball teams are starting to get on that now. You mentioned the hockey team, but we can even extend it down to the field hockey team, the softball team, the baseball team. I remember interviewing Coach Smiley last year, and he talked about like this Miami culture that you have to have when you create a team, and like the fact that he knew that from day one is huge. Like, so again, we talk about it. It's the culture, and the winning culture is here, and the results have been showing for most of the sports. It's just getting that student mindset to shift from, oh, we're not a sports school, to, oh, wait a second, the on-field ice court product, we are a sports school. We just have to get down there.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we are a sports school. We will continue to be a sports school. It's only a matter of time. I mean, the excitement level around this entire institution and all the programs that come with it have been raised tenfold this year, whether that's through the bowl game or through the on-court product, or just in general, because Miami is Miami, and it carries the reputation that it does. But we are once again out of time. Ted, thank you once again. We made it to March, 24 weeks in. Who would have thought we'd be here after week 1?
Not me.
Well, amen to that. Well, to everyone listening, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hopefully come out to watch some Miami sports throughout the weekend. We'll have live coverage, or as much as we can, for you throughout the weekend on the Riverfront U socials and on my social media accounts. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend and go Red Hawks.